Nintendo's been hit with a spray bottle by the Japanese Patent Office, who has slapped down a recent patent application with unusual amounts of sass. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show delighted to see common sense out of a government institution for once.
Yes, it's wonderful to see somebody in a professional capacity get as annoyed with corporations pulling their corpo bullshit as we get every day. So this is a feel-good story, and we don't get enough of this these days. So let's get the news going with Dr. Feelgood himself, Brian Garr. Tell us how we got here.
Oh man, this is one that you're going to enjoy. So this comes from Automaton Media, who spotted Tokyo Central Patent Office attorney Ben Rishikoza and others practically giggling over a recent patent refusal that was issued to Nintendo last week by the Japanese Patent Office. And the reason is the Patent Office had an unusually scalding tone, which at times accuses Nintendo of intentionally offering nonsensical arguments. Ouch.
Just an FYI, this is not explicitly tied to Nintendo's ongoing lawsuit with Pal World developer Pocket Pair. Nintendo filed a raft of patent applications around the time as filing that lawsuit, and this is one of them. So if Nintendo is granted these patents, it would give them more legal ammunition to sue and potentially win.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to pick a side here, and I don't think any of us want Nintendo to have more patents that they could use to sue more companies. The denied patent here, though, is for, quote, in-game monster capturing systems, which the JPO initially denied by referencing a 2013 YouTube video for the fan game Pokemon Generations, which shows the exact system that Nintendo was describing and trying to patent.
Yeah, and since the system existed in the world prior to Nintendo trying to patent it, they obviously didn't invent it. So, patent denied.
The JPO described the existence of these features when laying out Nintendo's lack of inventiveness, saying, quote, selecting a Pokeball displayed at the bottom right of the screen causes Ash to throw it. If it hits Pikachu, Pikachu can be captured. Pretty normal, and a lot of video games have done it outside of Pokemon.
You'd think so, but that quote is important because Nintendo will find all sorts of ways to get upset about it. The Nintendo argued against that rejection. They basically appealed it for a few big reasons. The first is that Nintendo says a video cannot display the mechanical workings of the system they're trying to patent. It's just a video, it's not a video game, so it's not what we're doing. But also, the second one is the real kicker and the one that gets them in the most trouble. Nintendo said that since they own the rights to Pokemon, that the Patent Office cannot use an unlicensed Pokemon fan project to argue against their patent filing because it's illegal, or since Nintendo owns the copyright to Pokemon, they already own it, even if somebody else made it. Yeah, I guess it's illegal and it doesn't count because we own that.
So weird and control freaky about everything. Yeah, they're just, But yeah, in their appeal, Nintendo claimed that using a Pokemon fan game to deny a Pokemon patent borders on personally insulting. I love that.
Nintendo's response accused JPO's examiner of acting, quote, extremely inappropriately by deliberately mischaracterizing an infringing product as though it were an authorized one. This is multiple times in their response.
Nintendo went one step further than that, insisting that the JPO not refer to the characters and items in the fan game as their logical names, what anyone would call them, but instead, quote, this is from Nintendo, Ash, Pikachu, and Pokeball should be properly referred to as, quote, a character infringing upon Ash, a character infringing upon Pikachu, and a character infringing upon Pokeballs, respectively.
Yeah, and that's when the JPO examiner pretty much had it and went off. At least went off by Japanese standards. It's but extremely blunt. In the subsequent rejection, they wrote that, quote, if it were impermissible for the reasons for rejection to refer to character names, then even at the cost of being redundant, accuracy should take precedence. In that case, the notice would need to use cumbersome descriptions such as an object in the form of a small animal instead of Pokemon, an object in the form of a boy wearing a red cap instead of Ash, an object in the form of a small yellow animal animal instead of Pikachu, an object in the form of a small green animal instead of Bulbasaur, and a spherical object with a red upper half and a white lower half instead of a Pokeball. However, even with such rephrasing, the logical structure of the grounds for refusal remains unchanged. Therefore, this argument has no bearing on determining inventive step. Ouch! Snap! Burn!
This is like arguing with somebody at the DMV. Have you ever tried to do that? It never works. Literally never. They always know every single rule, and they're always going to win. You cannot argue with somebody at the DMV. This is just like that. Where like somebody at the patent office, at the Japanese patent office, is like, "Fuck off! I do this all day. There's no way in hell you're winning this."
That's like how you can't question a kid's knowledge of dinosaurs because they study it all the time. You're in their world. You can't. You're never going to know more than an 8-year-old about dinosaurs.
Yeah, everyone makes that mistake one time. Then you get embarrassed on the playground. All the parents are laughing at you. It's bad. It's bad. Going back to JPO, remember that? Yeah, the JPO also completely shut down the argument that Nintendo put out that their copyright ownership has any bearing on patent applications at all. The JPO explained, or really reminded Nintendo, that an invention's infringement on copyright has no bearing on determining its inventiveness.
Yeah, they further note that Nintendo should have known that in the first place. Ow. X-user Akama199 cites a section that they translated saying, "Don't drag copyright into patent examinations, you know. Is your head full of nonsense?" Boom.
Wow. JPO's reply dryly notes that Nintendo's stance deviates from, quote, standard thinking for patent practitioners and dismisses Nintendo's hurt feelings over citing a fan game as an official one, a, quote, completely unreasonable misunderstanding.
I like it. Yeah, the JPO also dismissed Nintendo's other claim, the one that video could not demonstrate the inventiveness of Nintendo systems, with similarly simple logic here.
After expressing confusion at Nintendo's intended meaning, they figure Nintendo's making one of two arguments: that the video is genuine gameplay, but that footage alone can't prove the existence of their gameplay system, or that the video is fake gameplay and animation with no underlying mechanical systems at all.
They then dismiss both cases, first saying that faking gameplay footage of a fan game, quote, would be way too preposterous, because they're generally right. And as far as claiming that footage can't prove the existence of their invention, the JPO examiner reasons that Nintendo's description of the system relies on screen-based descriptors, so it's valid to use screen-based evidence of those actions to disprove an inventive step. And they're right.
Again, the DMV shut down. Just the roller cage goes wha-bam, and that's it.
Yeah.
You got to wait until tomorrow. There's some side articles here. Japanese patent attorney Kiyoshi Kurihara offers a theory about why Nintendo is making such unreasonable claims. This kind of like lawyer to lawyer being like, they wouldn't do that unless they had a reason, like they know better, basically. Kurihara says it's possible that Nintendo does not want fan games mentioned alongside official games in public records without an official, fully throated, cover all my bases as strong as legally possible defense, in the record, in case any lawyer down the line decides to cite this.
Yeah, basically lawyers can argue that companies in the past have allowed derivative works without challenging them, so why now? Kurihara mentions that such arguments don't work with patent attorneys, but a US-based jury trial might be swayed by such arguments.
I mean, yeah, we have a jury full of normal people listening to all of this. Then I guess it's a possibility that showing a video of gameplay mechanics might sway them a little bit. But again, bureaucrat to bureaucrat, there's no way. This is just going to be an argument which we just read, and it was like a bunch of huge words and the most logic of logic all the way down to the last detail. And it is fun to read the government finally shut down Nintendo for once.
It's just nice to see any system functioning as logic would imply that it might. And yes, it is good to see Nintendo get thrown out of court. I think the problem is we've seen instances, especially with video game patent filings in the United States, where they don't reference things like YouTube videos and they only look at previously filed patents. And that's kind of it has the possibility to set off a patent gold rush in the United States, and then a bunch of, what do they call it, lawfare kind of lawsuits could follow. We don't want that because it's going to really choke down on business, and it's just a bunch of like infighting that doesn't result in video games. So looking at situations like this is actually good because it establishes precedent that hopefully U.S. Attorneys' offices and stuff might look at should any of these things start really kicking off in America. Now, the U.S. also did file a ton of patent filings for stuff like this in the U.S. too, and I think it's probably scarier if they get them in the U.S. because I feel like they're probably more likely to win larger amounts of money in U.S. courts. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope the U.S. courts are paying attention to some of this. We can pray.
It's also, speaking of lawfare, I'm glad you brought that up because Nintendo is engaging in lawfare with all this, like with Pal World, with a million other things, especially involving Pokemon. And what people don't report enough, I don't think, is that Nintendo was not the first to introduce this mechanic. Pokemon was not the first. By a long shot, in the 80s, the Megami Tensei games did it. In 87, there was a game called Hack 1.0. Before that, in like 84, Dragon Quest V, I was going to mention it, in 92. So like all of these predate, and I think the original Pokemon game, Red and Blue, are very good, but they clearly stole elements from Earthbound, that overworld, the monster catching mechanics from a lot of different games. So it is hilarious for them to, and just the height of arrogance to act like they invented this mechanic. And then, but yeah, they're Nintendo, they've got money, they can afford a ton of lawyers to just try to sue any other game out of existence. And it's bullshit. And I'm glad they got mocked. They totally deserve it.
This is also very similar. I don't know if you guys have been following this, but Backrooms, the movie, just came out, obviously. And then A24 started copyright striking video games, Backrooms video games, for their settings, for like things that were in the movie. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking? Those Backrooms video games have existed for years, long before the movie was ever written, long before, and that's what's funny. And obviously Kane Parsons, the director, came out and was like, no, we'll fix it. It's not going to happen. But A24's stupid copyright robots went after this, and everyone's like, are you crazy? And this is very much like the JPO. I would expect to know the history that you just described, Brian. I'm sure they know that all these other systems existed long before Pokemon, and now Nintendo's out there being like, well, this is our franchise, $1 trillion franchise, so we assume that the Japanese patent office will side with us because, they want us to make more money and we're a Japanese corporation. No, come on. We all know the history. We know you stole a few things here and there, and, hey, everybody's okay with it, but don't sue after the fact. Come on.
Yeah, I hate it when people act like everything's open source and, share and borrow from everybody. And then when it gets successful, that's actually ours now. That's ours. It's ours.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, kind of going back to what Brian said, I feel like it's just especially galling that Nintendo is doing this about Pokemon. They make so much money. Not that if you make a lot of money, you're owed sharing it, but it's like they got here by operating a certain way. So why are they suddenly pivoting now that they're king of the world and making all the cash? Now they're gonna lock stuff down. I don't know. You'd think like it's been working so far. So it makes me wonder something got them spooked, and I think it was Pal World and Pal World's eventual popularity, especially compared with what was it, Pokopia. There's a lot in Pokopia where I was like, oh damn, okay, that's really similar to what Pal World was. So if that was in prototype and it was a Switch 2 exclusive, and they were banking on that for their next hardware, and they needed Pokemon in the way that they need Mario Kart and some other things. Okay, now I'm starting to get why they got scared. But they only got scared because they reasonably judged it was valid competition, and it was. So I don't know. I would rather Nintendo just up their damn game and make better Pokemon games than try to sue out the competition. But I'm also not cynical enough to think that that's how the world works, because they can do both. And that's, I think, what they're trying to do now. So we can all pine for the days when we used to think corporations were our friends, but that's always a mistake. But hey, we're your friend because we're not a corporation yet. I can't wait until we start copyright striking anybody that remotely comes close to what we do, which would just be the height of, whatever. It's just going to be easy money at that point, and I can't wait. But until then, please enjoy the show while it's still calm and approachable. Thank you very much for watching this whole video about Japanese patents. Didn't expect to talk about that today, but video games take you places. We just love covering all the weird corners of video gaming, so thank you for making that possible by watching our content. Appreciate that. If you enjoyed it, consider recommending us to a friend, or maybe checking out our Patreon. We post everything we do there for free. I hand select a custom meme to go with every post. There was a really good one of Jesus Christ just attacking a hot dog a few days ago. The description doesn't do it justice. You'll have to check it out. He's really going to town on that thing. So check that out. The Patreon is just all that. So if that sounds fun, please look into it. Thank you to our direct patron supporters that support the show directly: DJ Kento, Jesse Russo, and Donald Tello. We really appreciate it. We'll take a little bit longer to forget you once we get to Nintendo status and start suing all of our fans out of oblivion. But until then, thank you very much. We'll see you next time on Inside Games.
Yeah, we invented rambling about video games. That's ours. And if you mention any game, we're going to sue you. That's as ridiculous as Nintendo with Pokemon.
But hey, if we're the only podcast in town, that's a lot of views. Yeah.
Cha-ching.
I was reading all that Halo shit, and I was like, 8 out of 10 is so boring. It's like, man.
Right. Yeah.
I know. If it had been in the 70s,
Yeah.
I feel like it could have.
It's a boring game, or rather, the idea is boring. So it's like, what do you? Yeah, we remade the most popular game in the easiest, simplest, most direct, and safest way. All right,
8 out of
Turns
10.
out it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
8 out of 10. Yeah, exactly.
that's some post-credit stuff, Shukla. That's some good banter.